Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Halftime with Bizzy. Today we have a very cool guest that I'm very pleased to have on today. We have ZooL Smith joining us today, and he is a very known modder in the Counter-Strike scene. He's been modding for about 15 years, and his introduction to Counter-Strike was from his father, who would take him to LAN cafes, and he started playing on 1.3, and he's been around for quite a bit, so it's been really cool getting to know what ZooL has done with Counter-Strike, and we kind of go into some of the mods that he's made. We talk about Classic Offensive, and he is bringing Classic Offensive back. If you know about Classic Offensive, very cool project. We talk about it in today's podcast. Also, I want to mention that we do have the Etsy store up and running. Merch is on the way, but as of right now, we have posters that are available, as you can see on screen. The link to my Etsy shop will be in the description. Make sure you go over there and get yourself a nice poster. Thank you guys for coming to today's episode. I hope you guys enjoy, and show some love to ZooL down in the comments. He's a really good dude, really talented dude as well. So we're gonna get right into things. We will catch you guys on the outro. Thank you all for coming and watching. Enjoy.
Hey,
Hey man, how's it going?
fine, and you?
That's good. I'm doing good. All right, so we'll just get right into it, I guess. So tell me, what was it that got you involved with playing CS, and how long ago was that?
CS. Well, basically, my father, he was doing like playing the game, and we were having with the city, we were playing on lands. We went to a place where people basically went to play games, and there was Counter-Strike there. So that was kind of the introduction for me for CS. And yeah, so we just played CS, and that was nice.
Right on. And what version did you start playing? Was it 1.6?
No, I think it was like 1.3 or something. It was in like 2002 or something.
Oh, so the nice and early
So
days.
yeah.
Oh, right on. Okay. When you started playing CS, I'm assuming since your dad introduced you to the game, you were still a little bit younger, but as time went on, when you continued to play it, were you already modding and creating maps for other games, or was this something like, did this introduce mapping to you playing
Well,
Counter-Strike?
well, the mapping part, it was more something my father was doing. Like early on, he was like starting to play around with Warcraft at the time.
Oh, yes, sure.
Um, and then yeah, I just looked at him, and like I observed him making maps and stuff. So it was quite interesting. And yeah, I didn't pick up mapping like right away. I was more interested in more other games, I guess. At the time, I was more a Nintendo guy. So
Okay.
CS was like a very side thing. But as time went on, we kept going at this place where we did lands, and the year 2004, etc. We started getting leaks of Counter-Strike source. So we migrated to Counter-Strike source, sort of. And he kept mapping, so that was fun. And then at some point, Team Fortress 2 released, so I was more into TF2 at the time
Okay.
than CS. So that's where I started mapping, like really mapping.
Okay,
But
that's
yeah.
interesting. I want to talk about how you got involved with making YouTube videos. Was this something that you envisioned to help you advertise your mods? Like, what was the inspiration behind all of that?
I don't really remember when I started making videos. Early on, it was like it was just for making showcases of the mods I was making, and yeah, I guess it evolved to well, pretty much the same thing. Still showing stuff I'm doing there. So I mean, it's just mods and maps I'm showcasing there. So yeah, I stopped a bit doing YouTube stuff because I mean, mods aren't very popular now, and there's less incentive to mod the game. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the modding community is kind of like I don't want to say underground, but like it's just not as popular as I feel like it used to be, which I don't know why it isn't, especially for a game like Counter-Strike who like, Counter-Strike literally was made off of a mod. So, like you think that more people would be interested in making mods or playing mods rather for Counter-Strike, but I don't know, it doesn't seem to be the case.
I mean, CS in general, like back in the days, it was a lot about making maps, and like mods were some sort of a side part of the game, you know.
Mhm.
So not a lot of people made mods and stuff. So this isn't a part of the game that was like very known, you know. Like at some point during the lands I was going, like I saw some guy like having mods on the game, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, what is this new gun, etc. You know, and like nobody know like modding was it's not really like yeah a known part of the community. It was more about yeah the maps, the servers you went on. So you sometimes you had mods on the servers, but yeah, that's it. So I don't know. Modding is not something in Valve games that are like that were very popular at the time. Like you had full total conversion and I mean like total conversions and full conversions that were like a bit popular.
Okay.
But like Counter-Strike was one, and you know there wasn't a lot of editing the files of a specific mod to do stuff. It was like not very known.
So when was it that you saw your YouTube videos start getting good views, and what was your approach towards future content when you started seeing an incline in views and subscribers on your channel?
Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it's because I started making some a bit of wacky mods, I guess,
Yeah.
and it started taking off. So it wasn't anymore to release mods and like doing just showcase of the mods. It was more like okay, you can do this with modding, and look, it looks funny, it's goofy, it's nice, and I wanted to show that to people. So yeah, I guess that's just it.
Yeah, you got a lot of like really crazy mods on here, like just looking at some of them again now. The safety first mod, I think I've completely fixed the smokes and saved competitive. Like you got a bunch of crazy stuff in here. I was just gonna say, like, what was your inspiration for some of these? Like when you're sitting down and figuring out like goofy things like some of these videos, like the ideas behind them, like how do you come up with some of this? Like the real Halo update, you got Halo combat evolved weapons in Counter Strike. Like, what makes you want to
I mean,
start doing a project like that?
the stuff I usually do is I don't have a lot of creativity. You know, it's more of I need inspiration, and it's not really inspiration to me. It's more like I need to copy stuff I see. You know,
Hmm.
it was a bit weird at the time and on YouTube, but like when I was I don't know for instance Halo. Like I'm a bigger Halo fan, of course,
Yeah, for
but I
sure.
mean like sometimes I play the game and I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if this was in Counter Strike or and I just do it and that's it. So it's more of what would it be like to have this from this specific game, and that's it.
It's just so awesome. Like the Halo one, especially. Like I'm a big Halo guy as well. I've been playing since I don't know. I think I was maybe six or something like that. To see like Counter Strike came into my life way later. I think I was 15 when I started playing Counter Strike, and to see like this mod, for instance, and you're walking around with the Magnum from Halo, walking around on on certain maps and then whipping out an energy sword, like it's just insane. Like it's such a cool idea. So let's talk about Classic Offensive. I remember being still new to CS, and I think I was playing for maybe only a year or two at the time. And for those who may not know about Classic Offensive, would you want to tell the people listening maybe what it's about?
Yeah, sure. So it's a project I started early on, like in 2015 or something. It was at first it was like some sort of test to see how far we could go with CS:GO, and how we could push the game to be like some sort of bigger scale on modifications. So I wanted to like port every single gun from Counter Strike Source, and that's pretty much how it started.
Okay.
But basically, Classic Offensive is like when CS:GO first released, a lot of people were like very mixed. Like the game wasn't well received, you know.
Yeah.
And the aesthetics of the game was like more like Call of Duty and stuff. So it didn't look like Counter-Strike, you know. So the goal of this mod was more like bringing back the original aesthetics of the game. So
Okay.
that's how it started.
And how was that run? Like, cause I'm pretty sure a lot of people were playing that at the time. I remember hearing and seeing about it on YouTube and through friends and stuff like that. Like that was pretty well received. I'm pretty sure, was it not?
Yeah, it was. It was. At some point, even Faceit was involved. They wanted to host servers for us,
That's
and
huge.
yeah, it worked very well. Like it was well received. It was something I pulled off in like yeah 1 year, 1 or 2 year. It was like more of it was something I assembled pretty fast, and the quality wasn't there yet.
And when you're doing like a like classic offensive, I'm sure is a massive project. Is this something that you're doing by yourself, or do you have like a little group with a couple friends that you guys are all
Well,
involved in, or?
for classic offensive, yeah, I started a team like shortly after I took off
Okay.
to to bring more quality to the mod. So yeah, I mean, like 7 years fast forward, we are still developing it, and like it's near release right now. So like maybe in a few months, we'll be able to release it. But yeah, when doing mods, I generally do it alone because like I think I work faster. Maybe the quality is not as high, you know, like it's probably very low, but I work faster and I can release and iterate stuff faster.
Like, how long does something like I don't come from any type of modding experience or anything. It blows my mind that like even for like a mod like the Halo mod, the Noble Strike mod, it just blows my mind how you're able to do that all by yourself and like do it in a relatively quick time. Like you must have been modding for years, like at
Yeah,
least.
I mean, I've been modding for like about 15 years or something.
Wow.
And it's more, I mean, the part about how do you make all that, it's more about, having the tools and being able to, for example, if I had to break down, like, for instance, the Halo mode, how do you do that? Basically, you get the tools for a game like Halo C or Halo 2. I forgot which tools I used, but basically you extract the assets and then it's more like importing them into the game, but it's not that complicated. You have to use tools that the community made to do that, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So for instance, a model, every model, you decompile a model from any game, like you pretty much have an output that's from a a format that everyone can read. So basically, you get that and you put it into Blender, and that's it. Then
Okay.
you just do the animations or port the animation even, and same for the sound, etc. So it's not that complicated.
What would you say probably like the most complicated part of modding in general is?
To me, for like the most complicated part is the code part, especially when you don't have the source code of the game. Like a lot of modding involves like modifying games that you do not have code access, so you don't have scripts or anything. And like this hacking part, it's very complex to me. But yeah, it's not something I will try to learn, because it sounds so complicated. Even though I'm a programmer for a company.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
that's a whole different um, a different approach. In programming, there's a lot of fields, and like hacking and modding stuff like this is very complicated.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if you don't have like a source code, that's like a source code is like your guideline. So if you don't have that, you're pretty much just making things up from scratch to replicate that, right?
It's more complicated than that because, well, when you do hacking and modding, it's more like you have to break into the game, to modify what you want, and this is the hard part, basically. But yeah,
Okay.
there's no guideline, as you say. It's more about it's more like a black box, and you have to figure out how this black box works.
Jeez, that's a to me it sounds so crazy. Like I have so much respect for modders and people who make skins and people who make mods like what you're doing. Like I have so much respect for it. It's like rocket science to me.
Yeah, I mean, for CS, for instance, you have like at the start, people didn't know how to mod and stuff, so you had community members that had to figure out how this works. And yeah, this is just the product of years and years of research on the games, on the engines, etc. So yeah, but for people like you and me, like modding the game is not complicated because those people did the work. And when I first started modding CS:GO, nobody was modding the game pretty much. There was a few modders that were from Counter-Strike Source that were basically like modifying files just to make the game break and read other files. And yeah, this was the only approach. But the thing is, we started there with a bit of experience from previous Source games, but along the way we found out how the newer versions of the engine works, so we could do stuff. Yeah.
Okay. And like I can cut this out if you choose that you don't want to talk about it. I just because you sent me the classic offensive thing yesterday, is that something that you'd want to talk about or is that still like you want to keep it completely silent?
Like the fact we're still working on classic offensive, it's a known fact. Like
Okay,
maybe
okay.
not a lot of people know about it because it's how do you say it? Yeah. Like the marketing part is not like very, we are on Twitter and that's it. We have like forgot how many followers, but like a lot of people still ask me about classic offensive, like when is it coming out and stuff. But it's like they don't know we are still working on it sometimes. Like
Okay.
it just feels like the project is dead, but it's not. So yeah.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask when CS:GO transitioned to Counter Strike 2, like I still have Classic Offensive from Counter Strike Global Offensive from when it launched. I have that in my library, and I was wondering, I'm like, well, because that was CS:GO, and now we have Source 2 engine, probably doesn't, it's not compatible, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Now did you have to go and rewrite everything and redo everything so that it would?
We took the game from before CS2 released. So basically, when when you do was it the beta of the stuff? What's it called? CS:GO Legacy. You can go
Oh
to the
yes.
betas of the game and go to okay. So the files in there, the files from CS:GO, it's basically what we are using. We took those files, we extracted them from the game, and we made a new Steam app that we like pasted this in, and that's it. So that's how it works. You don't even need to have CS2 installed.
Oh
It just
wow.
works.
Okay.
It's,
So
it's pretty much how they do Portal 2 mods. They take Portal 2 and they remove like most of the assets, the maps and stuff, and they make new maps for it. That's how I do it.
oh wow, that's awesome. Okay, cool. Cuz I was wondering about that. I was like I know with like people who make skins for the guns in the game and whatever.
Hmm.
If you look on some of their work, like people who have had their work submitted and shipped into Counter-Strike Global Offensive, if you look at their workshop now, there's like a red X over it because the models of the weapons are different now, so they don't cross over to Counter-Strike 2. But that's cool that you guys were able to work around it like that by using Legacy.
Yeah, in CS2, yeah, the everything like the maps, the materials, etc. It's not compatible anymore because the format is so different now.
So, what's been your favorite mod that you've created so far? If you could name one. I know it's probably hard because you've made up quite a lot.
I mean, mod it depends on what you mean by mod, but if we are talking like partial and full conversions, that will be classic expensive. And yeah, I mean, I've made another mod that's Halo mod, like you probably saw. It's similar to classic offensive in a way that's it's modifying the game entirely. Like it's a different experience, like entirely.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean this mod is pretty much dead though, because like you said, CS:GO is like retired, so it's no longer playable. But I'm planning to make it work on Classic One too.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I wish that Counter Strike, or Valve rather, I guess that I wish Valve would have kept Counter Strike Global Offensive as a game that you can play. Maybe they'll do it in the future because they just want to force people to play Counter Strike too. But you can play pretty much every Counter Strike right off of Steam, and then Global Offensive is now non-existent for the most part. I know they have CS Supremacy, which is pretty much just CS:GO, but you can get like any skin in the game and any sticker and all that stuff. Like I feel like Valve will bring CS:GO back one day, but it just sucks for so many reasons why we can't play it. Like,
I mean, yeah, the philosophy around how to make games and stuff have changed over the years, and yeah, I mean, at some point you were having like games such as Counter Strike and Counter Source that were more like standard games, but at some point CS:GO release it was more of a live service game, so it's understandable how they keep moving in that direction.
mhm.
There's a lot of games that do that. So I mean, for instance, Overwatch, and every game pretty much now, every multiplayer game. So I mean, it's understandable. CS2 is just like the continuation of CS:GO. CS:GO is modified. It's not the same game. You could argue the same thing about how CS:GO released in 2011. And like the game was pretty much very different from what we had at the end of the game.
Yeah,
So
that's what I hear a lot of people say. I was about a year or two late to get to Global Offensive when it came out. Yeah, I mean, like from a marketing standpoint, like you can't really get mad at Valve, especially with how Counter Strike 2 has turned out. If CS:GO was available, they would see a very small percentage of people playing Counter Strike 2.
yeah,
So it
I
makes
mean,
sense.
the thing is, it's called Counter Strike 2, but in the end, it's still CS:GO.
Oh
It is
yeah,
CS:GO. It's just an update. So
just got a
it's the
facelift.
same for Overwatch. They call it Overwatch 2, but it's still Overwatch. So it replaced the game, so it's still the game. I mean, we won't see CS:GO come back, I'm sure, but the
Yeah,
thing is, I would have preferred that they would make a new game, like from scratch, like no more CS:GO. We get rid of CS:GO entirely. I mean, it's a separate game. Like imagine they make a new game from the ground up, a bit like they did, Deadlock, and they could have made a new Counter Strike. But thing is that this whole economy and stuff, like that will be gone, or kept on CS:GO, the price will go down, etc. So
yeah, for
it's more
sure.
of keeping the community, and stuff. So they don't want people to like split up in different games and stuff. So it's understandable.
And especially with CS:GO or CS2, whatever, Counter Strike as a whole being their biggest cash cow, that's definitely something they want to keep alive for as long as possible, I'm assuming.
Yeah, for sure.
So, do you have any plans on releasing mods for CS2 other than Classic Offensive, or even maybe other projects that you might be working on outside of CS2?
CS2, like honestly, I haven't played it in like 4 months or something.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I'm not interested in Counter Strike 2 in general. It's nice to see the community making maps and stuff. Like I'm following closely to what people are making on it, but I'm not really interested in like starting a new modding adventure, on a different engine again. Like I'm pretty much done with modding in general. Like
Oh, are you?
Classic 1C would be like pretty much the last mod I'll be making, and
Oh,
afterwards
wow.
I'll try to work on like on open source engines to make games, etc. So instead of making mods, basically. So yeah, thing is, modding is like it's a cool concept, etc. And it's nice that you can make stuff for games that are existing. But thing is with live service games, uh, mods break. They just break. Like for instance, CS:GO, you make a mod in, I don't know, 2013, and then there's updates and stuff, and in 2015 it doesn't work anymore. So I think modding is more for single player games. So
Okay.
it doesn't really apply well to multiplayer games, I guess.
Yeah, I never really thought of that. That must be pretty frustrating having to, every time a new update comes out, something might conflict with something that you've created, and then now you got to go figure out where you have to go and fix it and what you have to do and how long it's going to take, especially when you have a big project like Classic Offensive. Like, if they change something in
Yeah,
the base game for CS:GO at the time, that could cause an absolute nightmare for you.
at some point, while CS:GO was like still the game that we were playing before CS2, basically, that's what I mean.
Hmm.
Like stuff were breaking all the time, like every single update, stuff were breaking. At some point, like in 2000 and no, in 22, basically in 22, we said, okay, fuck this, and we took the current build of CS:GO, and we like extracted it. We put it aside, and the game booted up from a separate exe at that point, because like we were too frustrated with CS2 breaking the game, with CS:GO breaking the game, the mod every single time. So yeah,
Jeez.
that's annoying, but there's nothing you can do about it. Like the developers are making updates, which is nice, but yeah, stuff are breaking left and right. It's
Yeah.
okay because I mean we weren't meant to mod the game, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and I guess Valve isn't really going to cater to, people like yourself who are a part of the modding community, because if you're not supposed to do it, they don't really care about what inconveniences they might be causing you, I suppose.
I mean, I think Valve is a company that really cares about the community part, modding, mapping, and stuff. Thing is, the stuff will break, that's for sure, but I think they still like to have modding and mappers, because of course they can make money of it.
For
So
sure.
for like maps, they can like buy maps and put them in operation, rent them as well, because that's more what they do. But like thing is, it's part of the game. It's like you make maps and stuff. Otherwise, they wouldn't have released the SDK for Source 2 and CS2.
So that's pretty much all I had today. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. It's been really cool learning about your journey.
That's a nice topic. I mean, modding is important, but
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
just the wrong place in terms of what games you should mod and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's always cool, and like I remember I had some friends. They're quite older than me. I think they were just, I want to say maybe they were 30 at the time that I started playing CS:GO, and I was like literally half their age. I was like 15, 16 maybe. Like they were telling me they all started playing 1.6 and they were super into it in the pro scene and this and that and whatever. And they were like, "Oh, Classic Offensive's coming out." I'm like, "What the hell's that?" And then I looked it up and I was like, to me it was cool, but I didn't get the same, it didn't appeal to me the same extent that it did for them, because they came from that era that you re-released in a sense. So now that I'm older, like 10 years later, now that I'm older, I look back at that and I'm like, wow, like that was so cool back then, and then now it's coming back out again. Like it's super cool to see it come back to life, and no one
Yeah.
else is doing Classic Offensive, you know what I mean?
Counter-Strike is like a game that has evolved for 20 years, or more than 20 years, but 25 years now, I think.
Yeah,
But
25.
I mean, like the game is so different now. Like there's not even like the same logic behind how you make a game like this. It's like it's modern now. It's modern. It doesn't anymore like have that's community aspect, but not the community aspect that we see now. It's more about going to a specific server with friends and stuff. This doesn't exist anymore. It's just matchmaking and stuff. So this
Mhm.
is what we are trying to bring back, that part of the community that was more about going to a server and like meeting people playing with friends and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And when you look at like over the past 25 years, like me and my buddy were just watching a video the other day of one of the biggest CS tournament moments or something like that from the early 2000s to like now. And you just see how the maps have evolved, obviously how the graphics have evolved. You see how strats have evolved, smoke and flash lineups and stuff like that. Like
And the,
in
the players in general, the way players play the game, etc. Everything has changed now. Like when
yeah,
you look back, it's a bit like how do you say? It's like it's basic. It's
very
it's
basic.
so simple. It's so there's no strategy. Like of course there's strategy, but like it's not the same height of the strategy you have now in CS2, like in modern esport and stuff.
Yeah, for
So yeah.
sure. And now you look at, we still have, guys like Snacks. They're still playing like tier 1
Mhm.
CS at big tournaments and stuff. And then you have, he's been a part of CS for God knows how long, forever. And then you have a guy like Monacy who's what, 19 or 20, way
Mhm.
younger than him, way less experienced than him, but an absolute force. Like the competitive part of it between the players is just it's so friggin' cool. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the same approach because when you learn stuff like even jobs like when you start working a job like I don't know 20 years ago 25 years ago, like the job maybe have evolved, but you still think the way you did back then,
Mm-hmm.
you don't like for CS is the same thing. You, for instance, at some point you had when you were using the op, you could shoot and switch to the knife and switch back to the op, and you could fire faster afterwards,
Yes.
But people keep doing this, even though now it's not the case, But it's just a reflex, It's not even like there's no purpose to this anymore. But it's
Mm-hmm.
just a reflex. Thing is, newer people they didn't know this, so they don't switch, to the knife and go back to the op because they think it will go faster or whatever, or because their brain is more like, they don't have this knowledge of back then what you used to do, because the game doesn't work anymore like this anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's more like, since you never learn to do this, it's not blocking you now, like this is a quirk that existed back then but is no longer useful, but people still do it, so they lose precious time to do those things that they
Yeah,
shouldn't do,
for sure.
but younger player they don't, because yeah, it's they never learn to do it.
So for the last part of the show, I kind of like to have the guests end the episode off with whatever they want to share, whether it be something they want to promote, whether it be people they want to shout out, or whatever it might be. I always like to leave the floor to the guests, and you can finish the episode off by telling the people listening whatever you'd like.
Okay. uh well, go follow Classic Offensive on Twitter, and yeah, I guess in a couple of months, wishlist it on Steam when it come out, when it becomes available, not like. But yeah, this is gonna be nice, I think. Like, people are a bit fed up of CS2, like the physics and stuff,
Oh yeah.
and I think going back a bit, uh, not going back that much, in terms of like the physics is still CS:GO and stuff, but it's gonna be a nice nostalgia trip. I think people would like it.
So for Classic Offensive, is this going to be something that's on the workshop or you could subscribe to it? Like that's how people will find
Oh
something
no, no,
like
no!
this?
You go to the store page of Steam. You write up Classic Offensive, and you will find it.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, of course.
Damn, that's big time. That's
But
awesome.
it's not yet. Not yet. It's not released. There's not even a store page yet. But
Okay.
in a couple of months, maybe. Yeah.
All right, guys, that will be everything. Thank you all for coming and watching today's episode. Like usual, all of the links for the guests are in the description, so make sure you guys go and check that out. Make sure you guys keep an eye out on the Steam page for Classic Offensive. That'll be hitting the Steam store in just a couple months. ZooL's story is very interesting, and I remember playing Classic Offensive when it came out for CSGO back in, I want to say it was 2016, and it was an awesome time, and I didn't even know much about Counter-Strike at the time. I was still relatively new at the time that Classic Offensive came out. So to see it re-releasing and coming back out again, very cool. Nothing but love to ZooL. It was a very good conversation. I was very pleased to have him come as a guest on the show, as I've been a fan of him since about 8 years ago. So it's really cool. I never thought I would be in a position to talk with ZooL like this and do a project with him, I suppose you could call it. But I'm very grateful, and it means a lot. Thank you guys all for watching today's episode. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We got a lot of banger guests coming up, and you guys do not want to miss out on these. Much love, everybody. We will catch you next Friday. Have a great weekend. Until next time, everybody.